Hey everybody, Greg Barron, Professor of Real Estate here. We're going to deviate from our normal course of production in the studio. I've had a lot of young people ask me through questions in our YouTube channel. They want to know a little bit more about the personal journey, and they wanted some questions to be asked. So shout out to Isaiah, who I met at an investment conference recently, who said, we know that you've done all kinds of things, but what we really want to know is some more personal journey things that you've done. So I'm gonna deviate a little bit, and I'm gonna try to answer some questions. First off, how long have we been in business? We're going on our fourth decade in business now. We've got 5 operating companies under the Barron Company umbrella. We're in engineering, real estate development, both in residential and commercial. We have a commercial construction component. Also, we do facility services on a daily basis. We manage a portfolio of some 2 million square feet of properties in 13 states, 37 cities. We both work in the private and the public sectors. We work for the Department of Defense, and also we work for private corporations in managing, developing, servicing, designing, rolling out their projects. Been at it for a long time, failed miserably at times, been through 3 or 4 recessions, never been bankrupt, but dang, I've been close over the years. So there's a lot of information, I guess, that's up here that sometimes I don't even recognize. And I've had a few of you say, "Can you just tell us about your journey?" So I've asked a few to give me some questions, and over the course of the next couple of broadcasts, I'm just going to answer questions in a informal format. So here we go. First question is, how did you get your start? I mean, I hear this all the time. You've been in this business for a long, long time, and my I guess my crinkles around my eyes give it away. But I'll be going on 65 here my next birthday, and it goes by in a hurry. But I started off in my early 20s, and actually I was raised by middle class parents. Nobody had been to college in my family, but I wanted to be a pilot, so I started my journey as an instructor. I got my ratings when I was 18 and 19 years old, and when other people were going out and partying, I was spending a lot of time in a cheap airplane just getting hours so I could start instructing. And so I got my certified flight instructor ratings, my commercial, my instrument, my multi-engines, still in my teens. And so I was around a lot of adults at a very young age, and just decided that that's the path that I was going to take. I went to college, wasn't really serious about it, and all I wanted to do was get to the majors and be a airline pilot, because that's what a lot of people in my family were. Well, fate would have it, and I was raised at a time when the airlines were really just laying off people. I believe it was in a recession at that time. It's been so long ago, I can't remember, but I took my first job in my early 20s. I think I was 22, with a gentleman who had an airplane and had a commercial development and a construction firm in the DFW area. And I just stuck my nose up, for a few years. He was a mentor of mine at the very beginning. I saw how he conducted meetings. I listened. I asked questions. I tried not to talk a lot. And then it evolved at that point. I was in school. I went at night because that's the only thing I could afford. I got married early in my early 20s and started having kids early, so there wasn't a lot of disposable income. So I went to school at night. I took enough courses to where that I could afford it. It took me a long time. I think I graduated with a management degree finally when I was 25 years old. It took me forever. And then some things happened. I didn't get a commission that I was promised on selling some commercial jobs. Got mad as a 27-year-old, quit, had a little bit of money in the bank, and just graduated from college. And so I decided I was going to launch on my own in 1987. I was 27 years old. So no real experience in running a business, but I thought I was brilliant, as most people do at that age, only to find out how much I didn't know. But it was really that risk that I took at that point in time that launched me. Had I not had an understanding of how difficult it would be, I probably would have never ever entered business at that age. My first job was a small 5,000 square foot retail center that I built myself. I had one of the orneriest owners you could ever imagine, but boy, did he teach me a lot at that time. Didn't make any money, but I made payroll. And that was really my first job when I was 27 years old. A lot of people ask me, if you know now what you should have known then, would you have still done it? And the answer is probably no, but I don't know that I'm any different than anybody else that launches their business. You really don't know. All you know is that you're going to step forward and you want to make a better life for yourself. So that's basically how I launched the business and how I first got my start. No real experience, a desire to be better than I was. I was never really a great employee, ever. Probably still not, because I haven't been an employee since I was 27. So I've been in business for that long. So sometimes I can't relate to what employees are going through. And my wife has to remind me, Greg, you haven't been an employee forever. So, just throttle it back a little bit. But that's how I got my start. From an education standpoint, I had this management degree, but it really wasn't something that I thought I would use. So at that point in time, when I was 25, I decided to go back and get a finance degree. Again, I had 3 kids by the time I went back. So I went at night when I could, when I afforded it. And then I think I graduated ultimately with a finance degree when I was 32 years old. So if some of you are out there and listening to this and you're going, it's just not worth the effort, I would tell you that just chip away at it. And by the way, it was a public college. And I think back then my hourly rate for school was $15 an hour, and I would have to scratch just to buy books. So when people say that they can't afford it, there's a way that you can afford it if you put your mind to it. Education for me was and has always been a marathon. It's a layering of information over the years. And the fact that I didn't graduate till I was 32 is a testament to the fact that, it can be done. The next question I have is, were your parents rich, and did you get your start with a family business? No. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned, I paid for my own education. My dad was the kind of guy that loved me, but once I got out of the house, it was, son, have a great life. I'm here. I'm going to encourage you, but you need to do what you want to do and how you're designed to do it. So that's the way I started. I always had their support, but there was never this ultimate handout. As a matter of fact, I remember when I got married, I had $5,000 to my name and an idea. I borrowed $5,000 from my dad one time, and I was a little late in paying back in about 4 or 5 months, and he called me and reminded me that was his money, not mine, and I needed to pay him back. So it was that kind of an upbringing that I had that forced me to not look to anybody else to satisfy any economic issues that I would ever get myself into. I just had to get through it. And I've always been a person that has said, that pressure will help you to design solutions. Your mind is an incredible thing. Given the opportunity, given enough pressure on you to have to come up with solutions, what I have found is that you really, truly are capable, but most people want to take an easier way out. I was given no choice. And a lot of my peers were raised the same way. We are what we are because we were honed and chiseled by the difficulty and of the times that we grew up in. It's made us who we are today. The next question that I was asked is, do I have any mentors and have they been effective in my life? This is probably one of the greatest things that I've leaned into most of my life. I believe in what's called the quarter three strand rule, where it's better when there's three of you than there's just one. I can honestly say that throughout my life, since my mid-20s, I've liked to have people around me and surrounding me that have a top-down view much further than where I am. So I have sought out mentors in my life, and some have been in my life for a very short period. Some have been in my life all of my life. But I have these mentors, and I have these rules that I engage by. Number one, I don't want to involve them in my business. I don't want them to have a stake in my business. I don't want them to be financially burdened by my business in any way. I want those people in my life to be able to speak into my life without having a filter that whatever they say is going to be manipulative. And that's why I've always had mentors that were outside of my business. I can tell you on a weekly basis to this day, I have people in my life that I need to pick up the phone and call, because let's face it, I live on an island a lot of time as a leader, as an owner, as a CEO. So I like to have people that I can pick up the phone and say, hey, I got this employee issue and it's a sticky issue. What would you do in this situation? I also present issues about finance and about a debt if I'm going to go into it. I have them look at something from a 20,000 foot view, and I try to remain neutral to get their opinion. The more major the risk and the ask, the more mentoring opinions that I get. It doesn't mean that I'm going to take one or the other, but I do like for a consistency of the information and the advice to kind of rise up to where sometimes I can be looking at a deal, I can be looking at an employee evaluation, maybe I'm going to terminate an employee, maybe I'm going to hire an employee, and sometimes it's a work-life balance with my wife. I like to get the advice of those who have been bruised, battered, who have been through the trenches and yet have a top-down view to enable to speak into my life some wise counsel. So one thing that I'll leave you with on this particular segment is get people in your life that you can visit with, that can give you top-down advice, that don't have a stake financially in your business, that you can continually kind of distill what they say to help you make better decisions, because you don't need to do it alone. There's people that have been there, they've been through it, and they have gut feelings. I always say that some of the decisions that I make over the years is just a flat no quickly, and I don't even know why, but I know there's this pain that comes from the back of my head to the front, and immediately the answer is no, I'm not going to go that direction. But having wise counsel in your life is probably one of the greatest things that you could have from an early age. And reach out to them. Ask them. I've had a lot of people say, hey, can I have coffee with you every Friday for a few weeks? I need to bounce some ideas off of you. And I'll speak to a little more of that later as we progress through these personal conversations. I hope some of this has helped. As always, educate, evaluate, so you can ultimately execute to increase your own personal wealth. We'll see you soon.